Today, we're going to talk about how some might invest in AI in the wrong place in hospitality. They might optimize their menus with AI recommendations on what people would want based on earlier visits, but really this focus on the guest experience comes from focusing on the people side of things, right? And if you invest in the people side, this will be a downstream effect of being excellent at onboarding and all those things.
Yeah, 100%.
What's your first thoughts on that?
No, I agree. I think it's very easy to use AI at a very surface level to like rewrite stuff, do some like quick photos on the revenue side, and maybe that's effective, maybe it's not. But I think the biggest issue in hospitality today and for the last 5 years has been the people side. People are coming into the business, they leave within the first 3 months quite often. And the experience you get as a guest is a direct result of the people, right? The people are the product in this industry. And I think where you get the most benefit out of AI is when you start working with your own operations with AI.
And how does that look in practice? If someone listens to this and thinks, yes, everybody talks about AI, I want to do something, where do I start?
Yeah. Let me just start with like the sort of the high level, right? Because I think you need that concept to really know where to start. But I think the issue in the industry is that there's so many people in these businesses. They're there for a very short time. The businesses don't have the resources to train people properly to ensure that they get like a nice journey within the company and that they can go somewhere and they can see where they're going. What AI does, like how to think about AI, is you suddenly have a lot of free resources available. So what would you do if you had 100 people available in the HQ? Well, you'd assign each of them to be a mentor to each of the new people starting in your business, telling them about how do you give great guest service, what's important, what can you do in this business after 2 months, like following up with them, having one-on-one conversations, all of these things, right? And if you did have that, like one personal trainer for every single employee in your business, you would be giving an unbelievable service, right? Imagine a waiter, every time they had service with a guest or a table, their manager would give them like a little bit of feedback on how they could do better, what they did well, motivating them, etc. I think this is really what you can do with AI. That's super impractical, what I'm saying right now. So if we want to like take it down a level in terms of how can I actually start using AI tomorrow? What are the things that I could do? That's a very, very surface level thing, but like an easy thing is having some sort of AI bot answering any questions that employees have, whether that's around allergens, how to pronounce the names of the pizzas, how to deal with tough guest conversations or complaints. That would be a very nice kind of first place to start, by empowering your people to give the right answers.
Yeah, and how do you do that? Like, have you seen any good examples of people doing it in great ways? Like, do we have some examples of, can be our customers, can be other businesses that have done this in a way that could inspire people?
Yeah, for sure. I think Pilgrims is one of the best examples, right? They've built their own Joshua that has access to all of their menus, that have access to all of their data, that proactively communicates with all of their employees and creates a bit of community, but also has answers to anything, including videos. There's Tech on Toast Toti that does the same thing. And then there's providers like us and our competitors that all have this AI component that lives within the phone, right? Where you put in all of your recipes, how you do your business, standard operating procedures, and then it can just speak to you live.
And what's the actual impact of that? Then people learn to answer or ask questions to this bot. What does it look like? Do they go out in the back office and flip out their phones? Or how does it work in daily life?
Yeah, so there's some of that, right? Like I was actually at one of our customers the other day, and I was in a group where one of them were allergic to milk, and I asked them, "Is there milk in your sourdough bread?" And she like whipped out the phone, was like, let me just check that for you, right? And that gave me comfort as a guest, knowing that she's actually checking it. But it was just like a very quick way of doing it. So that's one way, sort of like reactive. But I think when you think about, and this goes a little bit back to the frontline employees of today, Gen Z, they want to be good at their job. They want to ensure that they're doing the right thing. They're worried about fucking up. There's a lot of anxiety, which is a big part of the reason people leave in the first 90 days. A lot of this is preparing for the first shift. For the third shift, when they've had 2 shifts where they didn't know how to do the latte or whatever, they really want to come in and know it so they, can just do their job well. So a lot of this is also sitting at home, like then the evening before, just being, how do I do that? How do I pronounce those pizzas? Like all of this. So there's an on-the-job element of it, but there's very much an off-the-job, like self-learning element to it as well.
Sweet. And then, another part of what AI can enable is this content creator. Like we've identified content creation as a bottleneck for many hospitality operators.
Yeah.
What is the story there?
I think maybe we need to take, like, it's not immediately obvious why content creation is important to a hospitality business, right? Like they cook or serve drinks or whatever they do, have a hotel. The reason content creation is important is as you start having more locations, basically, and you want to ensure that everyone is doing things in the way that you figured out in that first location you had. This is the way to do things, right? So you need to institutionalize the knowledge that you have, standardize the knowledge, so that when I go into Wido on Vesterbro and I go into Wido on Frederiksberg, then the chicken salad I'm getting is the same in both places. The experience I'm having is the same in both places. In order to do this, you need to write down everything you do, but just writing it down isn't the same as it happening in the store, right? You need to deliver that training in an engaging, attractive way that actually ensures people get through it and that they memorize what they're supposed to know. And this is where content creation comes in, right? You need to not only write everything down, document it, but you also need to deliver it in a nice way. And this is where AI comes in. Because because you're an operations director, or head of operations, or even CEO, doesn't mean you're necessarily great at writing in an engaging way. And AI can be super helpful in terms of this, right? Like you give it a task, you say, hey, I have a salad chain of 12 locations. These are the things we really value. This is what the guest experience should be like. Can you write me a training program for the first 10 shifts of an employee? And then AI can go in and write these things. It can suggest, if you use our system, it can suggest like games and videos, etc. But it can also just write them in like small little bite-sized chunks that people can do. They should read these 2 before the first shift. They should read these before the third shift. So suddenly like that big blocker that tends to be there where people just haven't written down how they run their business is like just goes out of the window, right? Because you can just tell this AI either using a microphone, right? You can just record yourself just talking about all of the important things. You can sit down and just write in a conversation or have it like, ask me 10 questions about what's most important in my business, and you just answer those questions and boom, it gives you an onboarding journey.
And, you could do that with ChatGPT or Claude, or you could do it with all Gravy. What is the idea and the argument for having context? I mean, we talk a lot about building for hospitality, and that's very valuable because you have your whole kind of operations in our app. So there's a lot of context. Like, what is the argument there? Why not just use ChatGPT for this?
It's a good question, right? And I think if you're very good with AI, you could get away with using Claude or ChatGPT for this. I think we take a lot of the work away from your show. A lot of getting like great results out of AI is being extremely good at how do you prompt it, how do you provide it the right context so that what it delivers is what you need. And I think out of the box, working with a provider like us that's very deep in AI, how to prompt it, how to get the right output, how to ask the right context, will give a great result. You don't need to become an expert in AI to get great results from AI using something like us. That's the first part. The second part is whether you do it on ChatGPT or you do it with us, you're going to need some way of delivering this information to your employees. And working in hospitality, they're not going to have a work email. They're not going to have a work phone either. You need somewhere, some digital container or intranet knowledge base, whatever, some way of delivering this. And out of the box, you get that with us, right? So we can pre-prompt the AI to know how we're going to deliver this information. We can take learnings from all the 200 plus customers that we have and how they've really gotten a lot of results out of it. And we start seeing what are the results of the training you're doing. How does it increase retention? What does it do in terms of productivity? If anything keeps coming up that they're asking the AI, it can work it into the training. So you continuously build a better training journey, better content, which means ultimately better guest satisfaction over time. We can even take the guest reviews in and see what does a well-trained location look like versus a not well-trained location. So the more context you put into this, the more it knows about the business, the more it's able to improve your business over time. So if you think about training your employees, having the right information, improving your strategy as a continuous piece of work, then it makes a lot of sense to collect as much information as possible in one place and have something oversee and improve. And I think that's what you do by using an AI native company or software like ours, rather than trying to piece it together on your own.
And seeing AI as kind of a data analyst, someone who oversees everything that happens across, let's say, 10 different locations. Previously, we've talked about AI not being the best probably at forecasting what to do, but really good at recognizing patterns and surfacing important stuff. Like we've went a little bit from inside dashboards to something else right now in the age of AI. What's the next in surfacing insights?
Yeah. So I think as an operator, right, like you're probably not an expert at SQL databases or Excel or whatever, or dealing with big data. But you're probably quite good at knowing what are the pieces of data that you need in your business to run your business better. And I think what AI is extremely good at is picking up these pieces of data if it's available to them. And if you're saying, okay, I'm interested in understanding why was our performance 10% worse in this location last week, it can come up with some hypotheses and it can check them, right? So I think AI is pretty good when it's like guided towards something. I don't think it's good at the processing of the data. You need to have the clean data living somewhere, and then it can look at it and it can give you insights on the particular thing that you're interested in. So if you get like a clean data base and you have 10 locations and then you're like, what's anything that I should be focused on here? I think AI is pretty good at looking at those 10 different locations and being like, okay, in general in a hospitality business. And again, this is where having a hospitality focused software provider is useful, because we can give the context. Usually you should look for these things, but also check if you see anything else. But anyways, then you can just ask it like, what are the most important things for me to look into in these businesses across labor, employee satisfaction, guest satisfaction, revenue, and then it can give you those highlights.
And on a very practical note here towards the end, what are we working on in All Gravy to kind of make it very practical to act on all these things you've talked about today? Like what is the product roadmap in this realm?
Yeah, so we're doing a bunch of things. The main thing is that we're building out this AI assistant, chief of staff, whatever you want to call it, that can go out and do all of these things on your behalf, whether that is drafting content, whether it's answering questions from your employees, whether it's finding insights on your data. So you can work with that and it understands the full platform. It can find the data, it can use all of the different tools. So you can basically do whatever you want with AI in our platform. That's the first big thing we're doing. The second thing we're then doing is if you find something that's super important to your business, let's say every Monday you want to understand what does training look like in each location and compare that to guest reviews. That could be a thing one wants to do. You do it once and you realize, okay, I get some great insights into these. We're then allowing you to build skills into the AI, so it does it every Monday morning. I want this report, then it just does it, right? It means you can customize our platform exactly to your business. So this isn't as much an old Gravy platform anymore, as it's a platform that does exactly what you need in your business every single Monday. So I think those are the two biggest things that we're doing right now. The third thing that's going to come is then having the AI proactively reach out to you if it spots something, right? So we're building up a bunch of knowledge around how operators are working, what are the interesting things to do with AI. And as we see good use cases being done again and again, we have the AI proactively suggest to you, hey, I saw that performance dropped 13 points on this location last week. I also noticed your retention was pretty poor and your training was not being followed in this location. Maybe there's something with the manager here. Shall I send out a survey to understand that, and then we can operationalize that? So having it be proactive, I think, is pretty cool as well.
And that's going to also be based on the broader industry or the broader portfolio of customers we have. Like that big hive mind of insights is going to be able, like we're going to apply that to the individual, right?
So we're going to start to understand, we're going to get feedback on what is useful that the AI does for you, right? So we're not going to take sensitive information from any of our customers and share that, but say, oh, we can see that retention is 10 times better when you have at least 5 onboarding videos. Then we're going to start helping customers to get to that point. Or actually it's overwhelming if you have to read 50 pages, you're going to have to go down to 5 pages, and then you're going to have to split it out. And it's important that the manager speaks to every employee after 2 weeks and has a check-in. Okay, we're going to automate that bit for you. So we're just taking experiences, crossing it with data to understand how do you optimize your business and your people side. And then we use the AI to make that happen in your business.
And do we have any concrete customer feedback that we can share? Any good examples of how to use this AI we've built so far? Or is it,
yeah, right now we're very much in like the beta case or beta user testing phase, but already now customers are pretty amazed about how much time they're actually saving, right? So if you think about our customers tend to be 10 location plus restaurant groups, amusement parks, hotels, retailers, etc. The amount of time spent in the HQ just doing admin work, writing stuff, assigning, like sending out contracts, changing which location roles, they have all of this stuff, that they're saving tons of time on already just by having the AI execute all of those boring tasks in the background. Whenever someone turns 18, send them this new contract, like this kind of stuff, which you could also do as an automation, but the AI just makes it basically infinite possibilities. You can just tell it what you want it to do and it does it rather than us having to build little buttons for it. That's one thing. The second thing is like more complicated things that are repetitive, but requires you to look at something. So an example is one of our customers wanted to reissue compliance training to anyone that had received the compliance training in the last 6 months. That would have been a massive task of going through every single employee, checking when they had gotten their compliance training, reissuing that. Now they just had the AI go away and do that work, which saved them 2 days of work.
Sweet. A lot of things in the pipe. Any finalizing remarks? Nice little conclusion you can put on this.
I just think like I think there's a tendency to be thinking this technology is huge, but it doesn't necessarily apply to me because I'm working in like a labor-intensive like thing. The only thing I can do, I can put it into marketing, right? And the real changes are going to happen once you completely change the workflows within the HQ and you operationalize this into the business, right? So I think it's just important to start embracing because it's only going to get better, right? It can already do so much. It's only going to get better. So like you may as well start getting into it.